My name is Ray Latif. I'm the managing editor of BevNet, as well as the host for this year's Startup Brewery Challenge 8, which is sponsored by Craft Brew Alliance. The Startup Brewery Challenge is Brewbound's one-of-a-kind business pitch competition for new and emerging beer companies. For those in the audience who aren't familiar with how it works, here are the rules. Contestants will have 4 minutes to deliver their pitch and sample product to our panel of 5 judges. Following each presentation, our judges will have an opportunity to provide feedback to each brand and ask contestants additional questions. At the end of the competition, the entrepreneur with the best overall pitch and product will receive a $5,000 cash prize, which can be used to fuel the growth of their emerging business. The winning brand will also receive an all-expenses-paid trip to Portland, Oregon, where they'll meet with Craft Brew Alliance executives, learn from the CBA team, brew a collaboration beer, and soak in everything the Portland beer scene has to offer. All right, now let's meet our judges. Starting from my left is Carmen Olson. She's the Director of Emerging Business for Craft Brew Alliance, where she discovers and integrates strategic partners that leverage CBA's brewing and distribution expertise. And we have Tom.
Yeah!
We have Tom Bly, who is the Innovation Brewmaster for Craft Brew Alliance, where he leads a team of innovation brewers to create new products, explore new ingredients, and engage in brewing research and development. Outstanding. Adam Lambert is a longtime industry veteran who has led sales and marketing for companies such as Dogfish Head, New Holland, and Rogue, among others. He's currently serving as the COO of Storied Craft Breweries, an upstart growth capital group founded by the creators of Effin' Vodka. Well done.
No, Carmen.
Johnny Stringer, who's up next, is the manager of beer operations for Craftworks Restaurants, where he oversees over 4,000 draft lines at more than 100 old Chicago restaurants in 24 states. Johnny? And last, but certainly not least, we have Darren Ravel, who's a sports business reporter for ESPN and a partner in Tastemaker Capital, which invests in early-stage food and beverage companies. He also has a vast social media following, most notably on Twitter, where he's about 300 shy of 1.8 million followers. Darren Ravel. So this year, 5 finalists were selected to pitch on the Brewbound Session stage, so let's get to it. Our first contestant of the day is L.A. McCrae, the founder of Black Star Line Brewing. Come on up. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you. So you got 2 mics. You can use this one. Your timer's right over here.
Black Star Line Brewing Company is a grassroots, family-centered brewery launching a social movement rooted in self-determination, social entrepreneurship, collective economics, and our collective healing and liberation. Our unique and authentic programming, such as Larry's Lounge, named after my father, and the first ever Black Brewers Gathering that we're hosting this fall, aims to authentically cultivate community for marginalized and disenfranchised persons, one beer at a time. Look around the room right now. The craft brewing industry is missing out on the magic and soul of those who are the most vulnerable in our communities, those who are historically and demographically under and unemployed. These untapped resources are naturally manufacturers, culinary artists, and brew creatives. Our social mission aims to partner with these untapped resources in underserved communities with initiatives such as our unique and distinctive apprenticeship program, collaborating with urban development initiatives, as well as building in cities with industrial paths and logistic assets. Our target segment populations, such as millennials, women, Black folks, and other folks of color, understand the importance and significance of our social mission as we create safe spaces for LGBT folks, veterans, and those who are differently abled. We address issues of blight head-on in cities like New York, Baltimore, DC, and Memphis, with collaborations with urban farmers, looking at developing the first Black brew supply chain, founding the Black Brew Supply Guild, and connecting with direct trade. But now we get a chance to talk and brag about our beers. And yes, for you beards out there, we have special IPAs for you too. Our beers are created with intentionality, purpose, prayer, research, ritual, and on-the-ground refinement through our tasting team. We have 8 year-round brews, such as our Stokely Stout, Dat Dare Ginger Beer, 4 seasonals such as the Dream Boogie, 3 non-alcoholic botanical brews, and Pulque, an African, Mexican, indigenous brew. For those of you who like hops, we also have special, more hop-forward brews, but we specialize in sweet, less hop-forward brews that we find folks have enthusiastically positive reviews. All of our beers are named and inspired by our ancestors, spirit guides, and friends on the journey. We are so proud to be the first out Black queer woman-owned and operated brewery with an aggressive social mission to impact lives, create opportunities, and transform communities. Starting out, we'll be partner brewing with Sanctuary Brewing on our 3-barrel system so we can focus on infrastructure. We'll be able to self-distribute in 5 states and selected zip codes that are the most impacted by blight. Over the next few years, we'll focus on optimizing, scaling up our production and distribution, and laying the blueprint to plant partner breweries. When you think of our team, I want you to remember these 5 words: magic, passionate, driven, devoted, family. Most of all, we are resilient and self-taught with a team of support. Winning this competition would be a blessing for us due to our unique circumstances finding and securing funding. One person, upon hearing the name, Black Star Line Brewing Company, began to cry because she understood the historical significance and knew that we were not just building a brewery, but building a movement, building a nation, and transforming communities one beer at a time. We are resilient, we are strong, we are Black Star Line. Thank you.
Powerful stuff. Carmen, what do you think of Ellie's presentation?
Well, I moved, first of all. It was a fantastic presentation. I can tell that you worked a lot at it. Something has stuck with me throughout the commentary today, and when I think about the beer industry, the thing that I like about it the most is that it was such a community of people, and we were very welcoming and wanted to help each other out. And I think over the last couple of years, it's become more and more obvious that community is very insular. And what I love about the brewery and really the movement that you're working towards is to invite more people to the party. And that excites me, and I think that when Mike made a good point today from Founders talking about these concentric circles where we have craft folks and import folks and domestic folks. And what happens instead if we start talking less about product and more about people and creating new opportunities for us to introduce people to this great thing that we're doing, because that sense of community that began in craft beer, I think, is really special and helps tell a story. So I think the work that you're doing is really important.
Adam, LA laid out a business strategy up until about 2020. What do you think of it?
It's aggressive. I mean, that's one thing I was just thinking about. I love the passion. I love the concept. I think being part of what, like Carmen's saying, being part of our community is awesome in what you're doing. I'm a true believer in patience, and being aggressive in a certain way is awesome, but there's also being able to temper and manage that aggressive model. I think you've got some very aggressive dates on there. I love it, don't get me wrong. I love the business part of selling beer and making beer and being in the beer business, but just temper it a little bit and be patient, because I think you're onto something cool, but I don't want it to, like, if it doesn't come that fast, that you get disenchanted by it.
Yeah. Tom, how was the beer?
You know, what I like most about this is the idea that you're using beer as a platform for change. That really happens one beer at a time, but it has to start with good beer. Beer has to be qualitative. It has to actually approach an audience so you can initiate the conversation. I think there's some challenges in getting to a broad consumer base, only because it is a little sweeter than I'm accustomed to for beer. So right off the bat, the first thing I comment on is it seems a little sweet for my taste. But again, that's an obstacle that needs to be kind of examined and explored.
What is? I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the style of this beer?
So it's a honey pilsner.
Use your microphone.
It's a honey pilsner. It's unfiltered with guava and orange and mango.
Yeah. Darren, what are your thoughts?
The only thing I get concerned, I thought it was a great presentation. I think the only thing I get concerned about often when I hear so much of the social mission is, from a business standpoint, is are you going to push the social mission at the expense of what is ultimately the business? And it's whenever you hear social mission, you think of Ben and Jerry's and everyone else who had a social mission. But often the companies that have a social mission define that social mission way after they're developing the business and the business is developed. So, just from an investment standpoint and being a partner, I would say what you're going to have to do is temper the enthusiasm for the mission before you have a main product business.
And Johnny, what's the potential for Black Star Line Brewing in your stores?
Well, it's very sweet, which is very on trend right now. Honey Pilsner is a very unique style, and it lives up to that potential. I thought your passion, the presentation was fantastic, and I echo some of the concerns about don't move too fast. We've heard some of the distribution challenges that are going on out there, and so just challenge you to find your home and move from there.
Well done. LA, great stuff. Thank you so much.